and welcome back to Sundays in the Garden. If you're new here, my name is Sarah, and on this channel I share all of the things I get up to in my English cottage garden and allotment. Everything is growing and changing so quickly now. If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed at the amount of work ahead of us, then you're not alone. But today I'm going to take you on a tour of the cottage garden and allotment in the month of May 2024, so you can see how everything has changed and grown this month. Standing outside the back door here, you can see that everything is looking so much greener and bigger and so full of life and colour. From this angle too, you can see how much everything has grown. Everything is looking so much bigger. You'll notice there are some roses out on the trellis to the left, and everything is looking really healthy and fresh. Let's start with this area. This is one of those little bit of reality checks. We've got compost still sitting here. We've got pots that need sorting out and plants that need to come into the ground, but it is looking beautiful and colourful. The first thing that I wanted to show you is how well the clematis is doing, or the clematis. This is the Montana variety. We lost one this year, which had been with us since we moved in, and it just wasn't getting the water in its new position. So hopefully this one will do well. I have a collection of sea paraphernalia that we picked up at the beach last week in Devon. Rocks and driftwood and shells in that little box. Over here you can see the blueberries are doing absolutely brilliantly. There are so many blueberries coming. We eat loads of blueberries in our house, so I really hope that we can get lots of these from the plant. So we've got 3 plants actually with loads of blueberries on. The ones on this plant here are a bit smaller. They're a bit further behind, but we are going to have absolutely loads if we can protect them from the hungry birds, because in many occasions we've had ripe blueberries picked off the plant by a bird, brought down to our back door as we're having breakfast, so the bird can show us that they've taken it, and they fly off. They're very cheeky, so we need to net these very soon. Down here I've got a few new purchases. There are the 2 algae pots I picked up, $2.99 each for those pots. I thought that was brilliant because they are actual terracotta pots, really lovely. And then I also got some bargains at a local garden centre, all for £1. This lovely Dicentra, which is the bleeding heart plant, beautiful. They work well in shade. I love them, so I'm hoping this one's going to revive itself. I saw it and felt sorry for it, and it was only £1, so I had to pick it up. And over here are 2 Alchemilla mollis plants, and they were £1 down from $2.99, but they were on the end of a row about to go, so I thought I'll pick those up because I want some Alchemilla mollis later in the year. The pots up here are doing okay. Some of them have died off. I need to deadhead those, but they're coming again, as you can see above. So they seem to be continuing to thrive. We keep watering them because they need extra water being up there out of the ground. And then over here, the first of the roses this year I can show you. Absolutely stunning climbing rose, this one. I don't know whether you'd call it a red or a pink. It's not a deep red. We've got a deep red rose further up the garden, but this is beautiful. I absolutely love it. And these are just the first few, because up above there is a whole flush of roses to come. So in a few weeks' time, they are going to be spectacular. I will do my best to share those with you on this channel when they appear, but absolutely stunning. I really love this rose. Some more reality though for you. You can see there's an upside down fire pit and some tarpaulin in there, some pots that need sorting, and the compost, of course. It's a beautiful area with lots to be enjoyed, but there's still lots to be done too. And that's always the way in the garden. Coming over to the pond area now, you can see everything is looking much bigger and greener than it was this time last month. The green alkanet is taking over, but we'll come back to that in just a moment. But coming down here, you can see that the geraniums are really starting to come into their own now. They're really beautiful because they take no effort whatsoever, and they always produce such beautiful, delicate flowers and lovely coverage here. The pollinators love them. Here you can see this beautiful dragonfly. However, this dragonfly isn't sitting on a geranium, it's sitting on a bramble. And this is another moment of reality in the garden, because there are many brambles popping up at the moment. The weeds are growing as fast, if not faster, than all the rest of the beautiful plants. And it's very hard to keep up with them, particularly when you go away for a week like I did last week. So these are all little areas that I'm going to be sorting out over the next few weeks to try and tidy things up a bit. Absolutely stunning nonetheless though. I love these geraniums. To the left of the pond, we have some sadder stories, as this shrub has finally given up the ghost after many years here. And also on the trellis area, the old rose we've had for such a long time has been on its way out for a few years, and now it's finally given up the ghost, bless it. So I think those 2 will need to be replaced. But all looking beautiful nonetheless. Coming down to this view now, the lavender is really starting to shoot up and lots of lovely flower buds are appearing, so I can't wait for these to come out. The stems already smell amazing and my little boys love to walk past and run their hands through it. It's such a beautiful plant and the cuttings I've taken from it are doing really well too in the greenhouse, so can't wait to see how those come on later in the year. Coming down to this view now of the pond, we have so many newts in here. On one occasion, I think we counted 14 in one sighting. Absolutely incredible. And they're so cute. My little boys love them. And we get baby newts all the time. So this is definitely a great haven for them. And they really thrive here. They've been here for all of the years we've lived here. Also, you can see the water lilies are starting to really spread out. So it won't be long before we start to get those lovely pink water lily flowers as well. We've also seen toads in here, but I haven't managed to capture them yet as they are always a bit too quick for my camera. Moving up from the pond area, you can see that the Japanese meadowsweet is already starting to produce its flower buds. So it won't be long before we have lots of lovely pink frothy flowers on here. And it's bushing out all the time. There is more meadowsweet in other areas around the pond as well. And then, of course, we have the absolute sea of green alkanet, which the pollinators absolutely love. They are just all over it, but it is not what we want really in this area of the garden. So I'm going to have to try and cut it back a bit and get it under control once a few more flowers start to appear for the pollinators. It's taking over much too much. For example, as you can see here, the beautiful Centura cornflowers are looking lovely. However, they're kind of getting swamped and pushed around by all of the alkanet. There's one little lone allium in there. We've got the roses, of course, which are holding their own above the alkanet, but even they are going to be completely drowned out before you know it. So I do need to get this under control. I have done so in previous years to an extent, but I can never fully remove it, and it's back before you know it. It is beautiful, and I have had people even ask, what is this plant? We'd like to plant it in our garden. But the roots are enormous. They grow the size of parsnips or bigger, and they go really far down, so it can be really hard to move them when you want to. Here we have a lovely lone allium, and this one has just popped up, having been in the ground in previous years. But I would like to fill this area with alliums next year because I think it's beautiful. So I think it would be a great spot for a little sea of alliums. On to roses now, and these beautiful red roses are about to pop before you know it, so I can't wait to see them. They're looking really healthy and strong. And over on the other side, wow, look at the David Austin Roald Dahl roses. They are absolutely beautiful. I can't stop looking at them. I take photos of them all the time. They keep bursting and they're just absolutely stunning, aren't they? And there are so many buds on this plant, we're going to have hundreds. And over here, the yellow roses are starting to pop on the fence now. These are the climbing roses, and they are all looking beautiful. But I'll try and stand back and get an image of them from a bit further back in a moment because they are absolutely beautiful. And we've got loads of buds coming, so lots to look forward to here as well. Standing back, here they are at a distance, looking beautiful. You can see some of the Roald Dahl roses are popping out over there, and then the other roses are popping up here. My poor new rose is buried among the alkanet and needs to be rescued. Looking at this area now, you can see that everything has grown massively since I last shared the garden with you, and there is lots to be enjoyed as well as lots of areas that still need lots of work. So I will walk you around and show you what's going on. As you can see, the spring garden area is looking rather shabby. The foliage is now dying back from the spring bulbs. We still have some euphorbia that needs to be moved. And then tucked in the corner over here where they were over winter are my spring bulb pots, letting all the foliage die back now, and then I can cut it off, ready for next year. I can't begrudge the area though because it provided such a wonderful display, and now it's looking a bit tired, but before you know it, we'll have those spring bulbs again next year. Coming up the garden now, you can see that this area is going a bit crazy. We have the Crocosmia lucifer variety here, which will look beautiful in a few months' time with its lovely red flowers. But there's also Herb Robert in here, and alkanet, and goodness knows what else. And up here you can see that things have changed drastically, but nothing to do with me, and we'll come back to that in a moment. Along here you can see that the loosestrife is starting to really come up now. It's nearly the height of the bench. And I've also got a couple of alliums that have popped up next to the bench. These have been here since we moved in, and they just appear every year through the loosestrife, and I can't bear to part with them, so I may move them, but they are really beautiful. and I'll show you them when they're in full flower in a few weeks' time. We also have things we don't want here, like alkanet. And as you can see, the bench, well, yes, the bench, another to-do list job. It needs sanding back, it needs painting. I think at the moment in the garden, everywhere you turn, you can just see things that need doing. And it's just finding those hours in the day, isn't it? But I think progress over perfection, and make tiny steps, do what you can, and eventually we'll get there. More loose strife up here, you can see looking lovely actually. And then I love, love, love this plant. This is a type of Deutzia known as the Pride of Rochester or Japanese snowflower. But we think it looks just like cherry blossom. It is absolutely beautiful. We love this every year. We wait for it to come out and it never disappoints. My little boys always run up to it and say, cherry blossom, cherry blossom. It is beautiful. And it's actually not at its best anymore. It was even more beautiful maybe a week ago when we arrived back from holiday, but stunning. And you can see this view of the greenhouse here, everything looking different, everything looking much bigger and greener. But I'm going to walk you around and show you what's going on over this side of the garden. Cottage garden border. We have green alkanet, we have herb robert, and we have the creeping buttercups, which actually all look really beautiful, and the pollinators are loving them. They thrive in these conditions because they're our native plants. They don't get planted by us, they just grow in a wild fashion and they look stunning and the pollinators are loving them, but it's still not my intention for this area. So when time allows, I have been focused mainly on the allotment area since I got back, but I do want to make a start on a cottage garden kind of feel here, but it may have to wait. But that's okay, because gardens take time to create, and it's little steps over time that create the garden you're aiming for. Back to this lovely view now, and before I move up the garden, I'd like to share with you the beautiful peonies to my left. They are absolutely amazing. Look how beautiful and frothy they are, and the whole plant is filled with buds, so we have so much more to look forward to here. Coming back up to the tabletop area now, I've got this lovely Alchemilla mollis from Barnsdale, which I've got plans for, and then the primulas over here, which I had earlier in the year to plant out, and a lovely viola, which I don't know what I'm doing with quite yet, and 2 raspberry canes that have been passed over the fence from my lovely neighbour. We have a summer fruiting variety and an autumn fruiting variety. So I've got plans of where I'm going to put these, and I'll show you that in a moment. Up here, the tulips have now finished, so they've been dead-headed and I'm waiting for the foliage to die back a bit. I'll leave it for about 4 to 6 weeks, and then most of the goodness should have been taken from the leaves, so I can probably clear the area at that point. I've got some sweet peas growing up here. I'm going to move those down to a sunnier position by the house. And then at the back here, the foxgloves are just about to flower, which is so exciting. They're going to be beautiful. I can't wait to see which colours we have here. And in front is this globe thistle, which I haven't pulled out because I think it might be quite pretty, but I may have to move it because it is blocking my lovely view of the foxgloves. But it's staying there for now. Then further along here we have these 2 alliums, which I think are absolutely beautiful here actually. They provide a nice little screen along the edge of the path, and they're about to burst and be full of flower, so they are going to look stunning. And I've also put these verbena here. They weren't meant to be here, but they've ended up in a kind of nursery bed here, and I think they're going to do really well, so I'm going to leave them here to add some height and colour to this area and create kind of a little screen along the path area. We'll try it. Look at the laburnum blossom. Gold chain, absolutely stunning. This was actually filmed a few days ago prior to the earlier film because it is starting to get past its best now, but oh my goodness, I think every year it takes my breath away. Coming back down to the side of the greenhouse now, a lovely story. My little boy's wildflowers are growing fantastically, so that's great to see. A not so positive story. My granddad's cornflowers are getting eaten by slugs. I have sown them, resown them and resown them, and they are still being eaten. Why are they not eating these ones? I'll keep going. I just need 1 cornflower so I can collect the seeds and use them again next year. Coming into the greenhouse now, and to the left the potatoes had all fallen over when I arrived back from my holiday, so I've kind of supported them and held them up again. They are nearly ready to harvest. They've been in there for 10 weeks now, and first earlies can be harvested anywhere from 10 to 12 weeks. Kind of after they're put into the ground, really. I'm going to leave it till early June, and then we'll have the excitement of harvesting them. Down to the ground now, and we're going to have a look at how the dahlias are getting on. 2 Sandra varieties are both shooting, so that's brilliant to see. Behind, we've got one of the Nordvik Glories shooting, 2 that have yet to shoot, but hopefully they'll come soon, looking healthy. And then back here, we've got 1 Seattle beginning to shoot, and then another Seattle here with no shoots as of yet. So we'll see what happens with that. The Cafe au lait is getting really big, and soon I'm going to take it outside before it gets too leggy. And down here, we've got the ones I've planted in previous years and stored over the winter in the garage. So we've got the pink ball variety, and there's an orange variety, and also a kind of yellowy variety as well. So absolutely great, to be honest. They're all coming through, and it's lovely to see. Down here, the lavender cuttings are doing well, looking great. They're nearly ready to pot on into individual pots, so I can let them grow on and get a bit bigger. And fingers crossed I can plant them out later in the year. Another area up here that's feeling a bit overwhelming, we've got the cucumbers here that need to be planted behind myself, and we've got some lettuce that need to go out, but they have nowhere to go yet. We have some Aquilegia down here. They are getting leggy, need individual pots and moving somewhere else, really. Foxgloves probably need potting on again. The verbena back there needs potting on. We've got sweet peas, we've got peas. We've got all sorts of things that need to be moved into a new home and yet to find the proper homes for. Cosmos, I'm going to pop into pots, I think. I'm not sure where else I'm going to put them in the garden. If anyone's got any ideas based on what you've seen, please let me know, because I'd love to know where to put them. We have too much shade, really, for Cosmos, so I'm going to have to work out where they're going to go. Back here at the pumpkins, they can go out actually pretty soon. I just wanted them to get a little bit bigger. And then we've got tomatoes and aubergines back here, which need to go where the potatoes are behind you, but they are still growing. So I might have to move those outside so I can make way for my tomatoes, aubergines and cucumbers. But not looking too bad, but everything does start to feel a bit overwhelming with the tick list of jobs to do at this time, doesn't it? Coming up to the allotment area now, we'll take a moment to pause and look at the amazing buds on the New Dawn rose growing up this archway. Last year, I probably had 4 or 5 flowers from this plant, 4 or 5 roses, but we're going to have lots and lots this year, and it's going to get better and better every year. So I can't wait to see how it progresses over the coming months and years as it hopefully makes its way over the top here. Brilliant, looking great. Coming up here, you can see everything is looking a bit different, probably since when you last saw it. Over here to the left, let me just get into a bit of a better position for you. The pots, the chimney pots of herbs are looking great and really healthy, so that's brilliant. Still providing us with lots of lovely herbs in the kitchen. Rhubarb getting huge, we need to harvest some more. And then down here we have absolutely loads of strawberries. I don't know how well you can see through the netting we've put up to protect it from birds and some mammals that we also have in our garden. But yes, hopefully we'll have a lot of strawberries. There's already loads coming, so that's really something to look forward to, because I love strawberries picked fresh from the garden. To the right of the strawberries, we still have some beautiful forget-me-nots flowering. And then I've moved some foxgloves into this as a kind of nursery bed. This is not where I want them to be. They are beautiful apricot foxgloves, and I want them in the yet uncreated cottage garden border area, so they are happy to stay here for now so they can grow on, and I'll hopefully move them somewhere soon. Behind, oh my goodness, the little asparagus, look at it. I planted that a few weeks ago and it is reaching skywards, but it needs a permanent home, so if anyone knows where that could go, please let me know. Coming over to this side, this is the left-hand side of the allotment area. All of the roses, the climbing roses, are starting to flower and they are looking beautiful. They are really lovely, white, frothy roses. There are some cream-coloured ones in there as well. And then over to the far right-hand side, there are some pink variety, and I absolutely love these. I can't wait to show you them because they're my favourite roses in the whole garden, I think. They are really, really beautiful. Similar to the white and cream ones, but pink, pale pink, and absolutely beautiful. So I can't wait to see those. They shouldn't be too long until we see them. And then under here we have some comfrey, which I'm going to use to make some comfrey feed in the next few weeks if I get a moment, because that'll be absolutely brilliant. Yes, the nemesis corner. It's still there. It hasn't really improved. Things have been moved around a bit. We have some tarpaulin, we have some piping, we have a bit of netting over there. We've got all sorts of things, some tools that should be put away. We all have these areas, don't we? They just don't seem to actually ever improve. I'm going to get there one day. But if I took this photograph, oh, how lovely. What a beautiful and tranquil scene. Duh, the nemesis corner. Beautiful, tranquil garden. Oh, no. Yes. And then over here. Wow, isn't the allotment beautiful? Isn't it lovely? Absolutely picturesque, perfect and tidy. Duh. Don't believe everything you see on YouTube. Don't believe everything you see on Instagram. We all have those areas. Now, coming down to look at the brassica bed that I've just put in, I used blue piping and netting here. We've got 6 sprout plants and 6 cabbage plants. The cabbages don't need as much space, so they're over that end. The sprouts need a bit more space, so they're up this end. And then over here, we've got the garlic growing well still. It won't be too long, I don't think, before I can harvest it. Just letting it all kind of yellow off and see how it gets on. 3 rows of carrots have come up and almost 3 rows of parsnips, 2 and a bit rows of parsnips have come up. So I'm going to maybe thin them out and move them around, but then I'll need to net them to protect them from the carrot fly. But looking lovely. And the success story of the allotment so far, I think, these broad beans. Oh my goodness, look at the size of them. I planted them in November. I documented that on this channel back when it was fairly new. Someone commented saying you shouldn't be planting those in November. And, well, they're doing really well. They are starting to now produce their pods. So see if I can show you some of the pods. Let me just have a little hunt. There we go. So the bean pods are coming. The flowers are where they come from, and they are looking really, really, really good already. And there are so many flowers on these plants. There are going to be so many beans. Broad beans planted in November. Apparently it's the way to go. I did fleece them to keep them protected, but other than that, they did their own thing. Down here, some onions. These poor onions are in the bed of doom, I would call it, because it's the one that hasn't had any decent organic matter in it for a very long time. Yet some of them are still fattening up, bless them. So we'll just leave them to it and see how they get on. This bed really is going to be cleared once they're finished, and I'm going to have to properly compost it and get some decent organic matter in there. I'm leaving the leeks to go to seed or to flower because they're great for the pollinators. I love the allium head flower heads here, and they were only tiny, so I thought, you know what, let's let them go to seed, and then I'll put some leeks in here once we've got some decent organic matter in and get some bigger leeks. I did enjoy 2 leeks from here. I'm happy with that, and I'll leave the rest for the pollinators. Okay, coming up to this area now finally, and I want a bit of Instagram versus reality. This is what I came home to. Actually, it's not. This is the improved version of what I came home to. This is actually tidier. From my holiday in Devon. Look at it. So I'd left it looking not too far off what you just saw. And this is what I came home to. Everything had gone crazy, including all the weeds. Things are appearing along the paths and all around the allotment area. Grasses is growing. It's gone crazy. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I spent an entire day up here. Even the roses were getting kind of overhanging. Things were falling over. I spent a whole day up here to get it to what you've seen today. And even this is obviously not perfection, but it's a lot better. I got the beans in and the nasturtiums in. They only went in today, so you can see they're looking a bit sorry for themselves, and they'll soon perk up. They've got a bit of transplant shock. But they're going to be brilliant. I've got 5 plants on one side, 4 on the other in terms of beans, and then lots of nasturtiums down there to grow over the path. Also, the 3 courgette plants have come out of the greenhouse now and gone into their new home. 3 is all that we need here because courgette plants get really, really big, so they'll be really happy here and have plenty of space. And then on this side of the archway, I'm going to have the pumpkins, and I've got 3 in the greenhouse at the moment, which again, I think will probably be plenty here because I can sort of trail them around the bed amongst each other. So that's great. Coming up here to the potato pots, they're all starting to shoot now, so I'm getting lots of lovely main crop potato shoots coming up, but it'll be a long time before these are harvested, but they've got plenty of growing time and they've got plenty of sun, just making sure I keep them really well watered, and they'll be brilliant. Finally looking at this back section, which you saw what it was like when I got home a few days ago. This has taken a lot of cutting back to get back to this point, and this is what happens every year. Over here I want to clear that and finish off the pathway, because you can see it has suppressed the weeds over by the fence over there, so I want to finish that along the fence line and paint the fence. Unfortunately, when the willow tree was cut down, the fence was damaged, but we'll go with it. And I would like to put potentially the raspberry canes up here, create a little bed amongst this craziness for the raspberries. There are all the blackberries we have. This was obviously filled with blackberries, but unfortunately it wasn't just blackberry canes we've got up here, it's all sorts of nettles, trees and other weeds. So I've kept an area for blackberry, cut the rest back as we do every year, and we'll get on top of it one day. This is what we were faced with, and this is what we are faced with every year if we do nothing. We need to think of something better for this area. Any answers on a postcard, because removing the weeds is so difficult. So one last little look round the allotment area for May 2024. I'm so pleased with it. It's all looking much tidier now, and there is loads growing and loads to look forward to. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Happy gardening!